Today we have Jonathan Sanders from Light, who discovered that ERP migration is like, quote, watching paint dry while getting fucked. His words, not mine. After going through two brutal NetSuite migrations at Pleo and then Juni, Jonathan decided to build what nobody thought was possible, an AI-powered finance platform that actually learns your business by reading your policies. He says that the SaaS industry is about to collapse into millions of microbusinesses, each building their own custom software. And he's making sure that finance teams can actually do it themselves, no consultants required. Jonathan, let's get paid. Jonathan, so good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. I'm a huge fan of what you're doing. We were just geeking out on the pain in the ass that is implementing ERP and getting rid of NetSuite. So I want you to know you're doing God's work.
Thank you.
On behalf of all those who came before me and came after me who had to suffer through NetSuite, thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Can't wait for you to get into the US and be big, because there's very few in the list of on the category of list of software that people hate that can get rid of, and you are making it easy to get rid of NetSuite, and that is where it's at. So thank you for being here. Thank you for you doing.
Thanks for having me, Manny.
Yeah.
And we're doing our little part to make the world of enterprise a little bit better day by day. So
I think it was that Palantir was saying Palantir is here to have sex and feel like you're making love.
yes,
Whereas, all the big players like, Salesforce or whatever, it feels like you're having sex and you feel like you're getting fucked.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. That's the difference between good software and bad software. But anyway, so let's just start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Real quick. And we were talking about your big idea.
Yeah.
And how you're being told now. So start from there.
Yeah, okay. So we started Light back in 2022.
Yep.
And it came after going through two ERP migrations into Oracle as setup. And
What company was this? Pleo or
the first one was Pleo and then Juni. And both of them we ended up with NetSuite.
Okay.
And both of them were pretty long and tough migrations.
Yeah.
And it's not we do rib them a little bit, but it's not a problem exclusively with NetSuite. If you look at the rest of the players out there, whether it's Microsoft or SAP, basically the word ERP migration makes everybody think please no, please no.
Yes, no, nobody wants.
No, nobody wants to do
Nobody
it,
wants
right? You only do it out of if you're out of options. And
Dude, at Outreach, we're migrating ERPs.
Yeah.
And it went all the way to the board.
Yeah.
And the board recommended that we don't do it.
Yeah. Yes.
Because that's how bad it is.
Yeah.
I was like,
Exactly.
it's gonna be a massive waste of time, and you're gonna get nothing for it.
But you're still doing it. There you go.
There you-
Yes, yes. Nobody wants to talk about it.
There is not enough booze in the world. Yes.
Nobody wants to talk about
Nobody
it.
wants to talk about it.
Big uncomfortable. It is like watching paint dry and getting fucked. It's that's where we are, right? So
Yes. Okay. All right. Now we're talking. Okay.
there's nothing enjoyable about it. And I didn't. It for the life of me. I couldn't understand they were pretty simple businesses.
Yeah.
They were tech businesses, software businesses, balance sheet, income statements, fairly trivial.
Yeah.
Nothing complicated, right?
Right.
Everything was super easy, basically on the sort of starting ERP, the sort of zero that the companies were using in the beginning. And then they had some limitations, but it kind of worked. And then you needed to migrate into this traditional ERP software, and everything became complicated. You needed consultants to make a simple change. The migration took 12 to 18 months.
Wow.
Cost $200K. Easy. And then you're tied up. Every 6 to 12 months, you need a little bit of change. You need to call the same consultants, etc. And so we got this idea that a seed was planted, that there must be some better way of basically just creating a product just to manage this data. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not
cars
this
are
much
driving
data.
themselves, and ERP is still hard.
It's not this much data. It's financial data, but the core technology was created in Florence back in 1473. was double entry bookkeeping.
Yeah.
And that's the basis for like how you create the ledger. It's double entry and it's immutable. And then on top of that you have some complications, but it's not that complicated. So then in 2022, I was like, okay, I think there is a big opportunity here. Everybody hates it. Everybody seems, for whatever reason, to agree that the world cannot be different.
Yep.
I think if I go and show the world that it can be different, the market will respond favorably.
Yeah.
So we went and spoke to
Wait, nobody else came before you to try to do this?
no,
No.
not that I could find. Not that I could find. I spoke to a lot of people back then, and there was basically nothing. And the feedback I got from both investors and potential clients was, you'll never be able to build it. It's going to take you 10 years, and it's going to cost you $100 million.
Wow.
I don't know where those figures came from. Doesn't matter.
These are simple people with simple numbers. 10 and 100. I can wrap my head around it.
But I was like, I was pretty sure, like, I've built products and companies before. I was like, I was pretty sure that I
How
could
hard
build
is it?
I knew it would be hard, but I knew I could build something that wouldn't, in less than 10 years,
Yeah,
that would be
yeah.
valuable,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but we took in the feedback and basically carved out a plan to get there. We got some early like pilot customers, and then in after like 2 years, we had like live clients with like on a broader platform than your traditional ERPs would be. So the core idea was okay, you are running on maybe on a NetSuite or a Xero or a QuickBooks, and you're running on this sort of ERP that basically only does reporting. So it's like a database. You send in data from other systems. So you maybe have ChargeBee or Unium, Sora, whatever.
Yeah.
You have your CRM instance that has been outsourced to Salesforce, to HubSpot, etc. So you're not using the CRM in the platform. You use maybe HiBob or Deal or Rippling for the HRM side, right?
Right.
So then that is now also like outsourced out of the core ERP. So what you're basically left with is just this core database and then the reporting functionality of that database, right?
There's a database taking the information from other places.
From other places,
reporting.
and then
That's
spitting out like income statements, VAT returns, sales tax that is like compliant with a bunch of different jurisdictions. That's where the complexity comes from.
Yeah.
But basically that's the whole like interface of it. So it's basically used by 4 or 5 people in a typical org, but it like basically touches everything and makes everything slow and cumbersome. So the core idea with Light was, can we build something where you not only have a core database, but can we build it centrally around AI and build things in a different way where we make it much easier for you as a finance person to basically configure, modify, and change the core parameters of the system. And we had sort of this notion looking at the history of like, how do you scale your finance operation, which is basically in the beginning of time, the only way you could scale was hire more people.
Right.
Then you got into an era of, okay, you can do what we call BPO. You can hire specialist firms,
Right.
mainly in India, that also has a lot of people, but they're cheaper.
Yep.
And now the control suddenly starts to move away from finance into some other setup.
Yep.
And then you had a sort of second wave with ERP / like IT consultants coming in and building scripts. So instead of having a lot of people doing, clicking the same button 100 times, we can build you scripts for that.
Yeah.
Now the complexity with both outsourced into India and having a lot of scripts is like every time you want to change something, either you need to like detail it and send it out to as an instruction down to India, or you need to like talk to a consultant. He needs to modify the script.
Yeah.
Maybe the guy that wrote the script has gone, and now a new guy needs to come in, and he doesn't understand it because it's a clusterfuck, as it usually is, because he just needs to get something done quickly.
Yeah.
And the whole idea with Light was, okay, how can we actually take that power and bring it back into finance? And so we actually started to work with GPT and OpenAI a few months before they launched ChatGPT.
You did?
Yes. So back then, OpenAI was a completely different company.
Interesting.
And we were working like directly with the VP of product on the first call.
This is before ChatGPT.
This is before ChatGPT. Like I think now he's running the Johnny Ive company.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And so we've been part of that
Yeah.
journey also from the sidelines of like
That's
all the ups and downs of that
that's
company.
amazing. That's amazing. I want to ask you like what is now new that you couldn't do before
Yes.
that you can do
But
now?
I remember the first call we had, he sort of explained how the LLM works and how to think about it. And what he said back then is still true today. And it was very instructive for how we develop the products and Light since, which is basically think of it as like a student assistant.
Yeah.
And it's a student assistant that you can give instructions, and it's not always going to get it right. But the clearer you are in your instructions, the better a job it will do. And he didn't quite phrase it like that, but how we talk about Light and explain it to our customers is basically, you can think of Light as a student assistant that works for you 24/7. And there's basically two ways of onboarding it,
Mhm.
and that's how we built Light. You can either create like a 2 to 4 page like onboarding document that basically explains in detail how do we do our accounting, how's our business processes, etc., that you feed into the system, and then it uses that to basically like classify data labeling all of your
Yeah, yeah.
transactions, approve things, decline things, etc. Or the other approach that you can do is that you can let it do some work and then you can correct it.
Yeah.
So you have this human in the loop as well.
Let's go back
And
to the ChatGPT moment. So this is before you raise your seed or after you raise your seed?
this is just af I think it's about the same time, whether it's before or after, but it's the same month, I think.
Okay, so you had this vision that everything sucks and it can't suck anymore,
Yeah,
and I'm sure somebody's gonna do about it. It's gonna be me. Okay,
yeah,
and then you meet with the OpenAI guys. I'm like,
yeah.
holy crap! Like, there's this new thing that I can apply in my CR.
This is
So how did the vision change from like original
So we had this
to the
vision that we
post
will
GPT meeting?
use AI for it, and we had this idea that we basically could create some sort of interface that would be very different from point and click. I was sick
Okay,
and tired of point and click interfaces,
got
so
it, got it, got it,
there
got it.
was something there.
Yeah,
But the fundamental thing that changed was this idea of thinking about the product as this sort of assistant, the student assistant that works with you 24/7.
oh, interesting.
And the way that you could work with that assistant was to, write onboarding and instructions, etc. So
Yeah,
not
yeah,
only could you make the product work better, but also writing these sort of policies seemed to be something, or explaining to the assistant how it should behave seemed to be something that would be much easier for the core finance people to do, because that is literally what they would used to do to either the BPOs in India or to the consultants from Accenture
oh,
that would
interesting.
come and implement their legacy ERP system. It
So
would always
your
be
AI is
power
replacing
users.
that the scripts
It's
for the
basically
CPOs.
it's replacing that bridge as well, because now with the AI you get the real time feedback.
Right.
You're saying like, I want you to do this and this and this,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then it can show you in real time.
Yeah. So when you come and explain that to a customer, how do you explain it? So like I'm a customer, like yes, NetSuite true.
You're you're
I'm
you're a
gonna replace
customer,
them.
right? And I explain it just as I did now. I say, like, the way you can use Lights is you basically write down your policies. Think about it as like an onboarding guide to like you have a brand new coworker that's going to help you.
Yeah.
Just write it down exactly like you would write it down for a coworker. You can upload it into the system, and then it can use that to understand how to behave, how to like classify things, etc.
That's amazing.
And but the other way that you can use it is if it does something incorrectly, you can correct it, and then it'll learn for next time, right?
Yep.
Just in the same way that if you onboard a new coworker and you see they do something wrong, you can say, okay, that one shouldn't belong in category A, it should belong in category B because of X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And then he or she will understand. So next time I see something familiar or similar to that, I will label it with B instead of A.
Okay. So how you been writing? So tell me about the wave that you've been writing on OpenAI that goes from model to model to model and
Yeah.
gets exponentially better.
Yeah.
How is Light a completely different experience from the one that you began with
Oh,
to what it is right now?
that started early. So, like, one of the first thing we actually did, this is actually interesting. One of the first thing we did, so one of the things that we do in Light is we basically have like a much wider reach. So you can do like bill payments end to end in Light. You can basically you can forward a contract. It can set up like an invoice schedule, but you can also forward a bill that you need to pay.
Yeah.
We send it into the system, and it basically reads the entire bill, and it does all of the pre-accounting for you. To just like, your departments, your product codes, all of the things you need to classify to get to the right like
Yeah.
detailed reporting that you
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, we were working with basically outsourced, specialized OCR companies.
Oh, interesting. I was going to ask.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the way that they work is all template based. They have this, the vast majority of all OCRs back then, I don't know if still, but back then, it was all templates based. And what they did is that they will look at the type of invoice you get in and try to match the outlines of it to something that already exists.
Got it.
And then they will know, okay, I
They don't know
recognize
what's where.
I recognize exactly. I
Yeah, yeah.
recognize this invoice because it looks similar to this other one.
Right.
And from that other one, I know that the total amount is in these XY coordinates. I know the line items are these XY coordinates, etc.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so whenever your vendor updates their template, you need to like remap it and retrain it.
Right.
And we did that with an automated solution that got us like 80% accuracy. I wanted like 99% accuracy. So then we added humans in the loop.
Yeah.
So then it got sent to some people in Romania. They were like, manually like,
And
verifying things.
this is on your dime, so you would
Yeah.
do this for your customers?
Yeah. We
Would
would do
you
this.
charge for that, or as part of the package?
No, that was the part of the package. I was still learning back then.
Okay.
Then one of them got, I don't know if you ever seen like an AWS bill, but it's like a clusterfuck.
Yeah,
Especially in Europe. They give you like 4 or 5 different line items with different like currencies. You get like some euro amounts, some DKK amounts, some GBP amounts, some USD amounts.
Yeah.
It is completely unintelligible, right? And so what ended up was like the one of the guys that was like manually reviewing it down in Romania, he got the currency wrong, so he put in like euros instead of Swedish kroner. And so our client ended up like basically executing a payment directly from our platform in euros. So it was and the currency is like 10 to 1. So he ended up paying like 10 times too many, right?
Whoa.
And then we're sitting there with that, and okay, we got humans in the loop, but they can still make errors.
Right.
That was number one learning from that. That was like, even if you have humans in the loop, they can still make errors. And then that makes you question like, okay, what's the benchmark actually? Like, what is it actually we should compare against? And I was always of opinion that we should actually compare against like, okay, well, what's the best setup we can get with humans?
Yeah.
And can we get something that's safer than that, right?
Yeah.
So also, if you can get your car to drive at the same level as an average driver, maybe that's the benchmark for when it should be like allowed to be released, right?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of opinions on that, right? But I think you can make a strong argument for that increased overall safety.
Well, it's interesting because like that's not the benchmark for cars. Like the
No. It's
cars
like
used to be like way safer. Yeah, that's than a human being. Like it is already there.
Yeah.
And people still don't trust it.
No.
So like I bet it's the same for you, right? Like,
Yeah,
it needs
but
to be
it
even
is
better than a human being.
exactly the system needs to be infallible, and that's something you need to sort of work a little bit with,
Yeah.
right? Because is that a reasonable benchmark? Like, don't you want a system that performs better than the old way of doing things?
Right.
And then most people were like, sure, but then who can I blame?
Right.
But there is something there.
Yeah.
It's the same with cars. I think in surveys, people even would say that they would rather have like a human be responsible because then they can blame somebody for an accident rather than
Right.
silly and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is totally bizarre because like if you can have 10x fewer accidents, then isn't that better for everybody?
Yeah.
And I think we all know that it is better, but it's an emotional thing we need to
Mhm.
get through.
Yep.
A little bit the same that we needed this like COVID shock before we discovered remote working.
Yeah. So how did they drive?
Anyway, back to AI. So then we
OpenAI changed it.
basically, what we did then, we then took all of the context we had of prior transactions and or chart of accounts, all of the data.
Yeah.
And then we run it through an LLM at the point, and it got, not only did it get the currency correct, but it also got all of the accounting information correct, which obviously your outsourced partner in Romania doesn't do.
Yeah.
They only sit and like, okay, I have this data on the PDF and I need to like input it into this like JSON object and send it back to you. But now not only can we get the data correctly displayed, we could also get all of the accounts. So the taxes, the accounts, the line items, and we did all of that in one operation. And that was 10 times better
Oh wow.
than the previous setup. Yeah, by far.
Wow.
By far. Miles better than the previous setup.
Yeah.
And then we applied that to basically all unstructured information that you hit in light, whether it's a reimbursement claim, a card receipts, a contract, all of those like sort of unstructured documents you can send into the system. uses those same principles. And it's again, it's that, student assistant
Yeah.
that works for you 24/7. Now he's just working on
So,
parsing unstructured
so
data.
how do you think about the category you're in? So have you put
Yep.
any thought into it? Because you're not like you're so far different
Yep.
than NetSuite is, or
Yep.
even any normal ERP
Or
that I've used,
SAP,
or
but
SAP
yeah,
or whatever.
I think
Are you a new category then? Like, are you a
I
new
think it's a
thing?
new category. I think a new category is needed.
Okay.
I think a new category is needed. So we talk about the category as ERP, so people have a hook for it.
Right.
If you go to Germany and you speak to a guy in a car factory about an ERP, he would say like, yeah, this is a system I use for like my supply chain
Right.
and for managing my bill of materials, etc. If you go to a consultancy company in Sweden and ask them what their ERP is, they would say it's HiBob, because they use it to manage resource
Interesting.
staffing on
Interesting. Yeah.
projects.
Yeah.
So that's our ERP, right?
Yeah.
And then if you go to a tech company, they'll go like, well, this is where I have my finance data.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't use it to, like, it's like ERP is enterprise resource planning, right?
Right.
They don't use it for any planning of resources whatsoever.
Actually, they know that like nobody thought.
None of that at all, right?
Yeah.
And so like all the ERPs basically were created, of versions of SAP, right?
Hmm.
Which is just the basically the German words for ERP. Is SAP. Yeah.
Are you joking?
No.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No. Yeah. True
Wow.
story. Yeah. Anyway, so they're all modeled on the same sort of idea that you have a full cycle from your sales
Yeah.
all the way to your production line, to your human resource staffing, so you can sell a car, you can order the parts,
Yeah.
you can make sure people turn up at the factory and you have enough of them to create the car, and then
Right.
I'll do the bookkeeping, all of
Yeah.
those transactions in the same system, right? And basically Oracle and Microsoft have copied that same playbook. But all of this happened in, SAP in the 70s, and then Oracle, Microsoft in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But then Salesforce came and basically said like, hey, we can create a standalone category
Yep.
where you only do, the
sales part.
the sales part,
Yeah.
and we'll lift that part out. And now you don't need to do that in.
Well, Siebel did it first, right?
Siebel did it first. They lifted it out first,
Yeah,
and then
and
Salesforce
sales are put in the cloud.
did it on the cloud.
Yeah.
Exactly. But so, like, okay, but we can say Siebel like sort of lifted it out and said like, we can do that as a standalone product, and it'll be a better experience than if you do it as part of the legacy part, right?
Yeah.
So that's the CRM part get lifted out, right? So then that part now gone.
Yep.
And then Workday came in and did the HRM side, right? And now like HiBob, Rippling, and Deal, etc. So now, okay, the CRM part is
PeopleSoft did it first.
oh, PeopleSoft, sorry.
And then it works okay, because there's always an equivalent of like pre-cloud.
The pre-cloud
Universal, yeah.
exactly. So PeopleSoft did it first, right? So but basically now you got the CRM part lifted out.
Yeah.
You got the HR part lifted out.
Right.
And for a modern company like you guys, you would use
This is it. That's it. Yeah, you're tracking sales, you're tracking people. That's
you're tracking sales, you're tracking people. Okay, I don't have supply chain. I don't have like the rest of it. Like, okay, so what do I need from this ERP offering? Well, I only need the finance part, because there is no other category of finance tooling that can do like, multi-entity, etc.
Yeah.
So I think that's a new category. We're calling it smart finance platform.
Mm.
TBD if that ends up being like the name that sticks. But I think it needs to be a new name, because if you speak to 3 different people about the same category and you get 3 completely different answers, one being HiBob, one being Salesforce, one being supply chain, that category is meaningless.
So let's talk about getting paid, because that's the topic of the podcast. So how are you monetizing your ERP right now? Sorry, your smart finance
platform. So we have right now a simple setup where we typically sell 2 to 4 year contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And then we actually charge you by 2 factors. We charge is like, like how complex are you as a business to support? Okay, so we'll look at how many entities are you, and how many transactions do you run through the platform. Okay, for a lot of companies, it doesn't really matter that much how many transactions, but there are a few where they, quickly go into hundreds of thousands or even millions of transactions per month, right?
Okay. Are those more like consumer types or they're just big?
They're more of the there's a lot of like new like AI startups that are more like prosumers.
Yep.
So basically like selling directly to teams
Yeah.
and hobbyists, but also to B2B. So we need to be able to serve them with both. Okay, how can you run 1 million Stripe transactions through the system every month? But also, how can you send out like 100 enterprise contracts
Right.
and do that? And so the way that we basically charge is more or less volume based in different tiers, and then we set that out. So
Per transaction.
yeah,
And the transaction could be
and then we band it. We
payment.
band it so it's not like per transaction exactly, but then if you're in this range, then this is the price.
Yeah.
But then obviously if you double your
Yeah.
transaction count, then it's a different price.
Got it. If the benefit that your user is getting out of your platform is the fact that you need fewer people, that you need
Yeah,
less BPOs, that your things get done faster,
yeah.
what's the alignment of transaction value to that?
That's a good. So one thing we thought about when all of this notion of outcome based pricing started was, okay, could we actually like charge you per transaction? And this is the thing that we wanted to do was, could we set up a way of charging you per transaction that wasn't touched by humans?
Oh, interesting.
So, and basically the idea would
Kind of
be
like
that
support, like
exactly if you needed to go and correct it,
Yeah,
we hadn't done a good enough job.
right.
But if we automated it and it was just straight through processing, then we had done some pre-coding, etc., and made sure they hit the books correctly,
Right.
etc.
Right.
Um, so we actually thought about doing that, but we needed kind of a platform that could support.
Well, I know a guy, as it turns out. That's
Well, we actually we did in all seriousness like think about that
yeah,
because not only is it interesting for us in terms of making sure that our interests are aligned with our customers,
right.
which is saving time.
Yeah,
Um, but also it's a very, very strong like value prop to be put in the market
right.
that we could go out to clients and say like this is how we're pricing it.
Tell me more about the second. So, how much of that is part of your story as a category creator
Yeah,
versus it's just a better deal for your customers? Like how is it because it's gonna make you really stand out and be like, hey, you pay me when there is no humans involved, and that's really powerful? Or is it more I'm gonna get paid more and more along with my customers as I do that?
I think there's some about the first, right? That if you really want to be very different, you kind of also need to like look at the business model
Yep.
and make sure that okay, in this category of product, like the business model is just different.
Mm,
Um, which is also why that we don't have like large implementation costs,
right.
because that just create misaligned incentives.
Right.
Which is
And it goes against your story, right? Of
it
like
goes
fewer
against the
humans
story.
approved, right?
But also if you start to charge on that on a time and material basis, suddenly your interest is to drag out things.
Right.
And
Like a lawyer.
but that's just the sad
Or an
truth. Like I've
accountant.
spoken with a lot of implementation houses, and it's been I get very honest feedback. Like if I can't charge, if I can't sell a 6-month project, I gotta sell a project every week to
Yep.
make sure that I can meet payroll.
100%.
That's super stressful.
Right,
I
right.
get that as a business owner,
Yeah.
but your interests are just not
Aligned.
align with your core client.
Yeah.
And that's to me is part of why everybody
So
is
that's a choice thing now because like
yeah,
now you don't have a very strong channel partnership by design
yeah,
and
but also by products,
by design of the product, right?
by
Like
product.
so how do you think about that? Like if see like all your predecessors have scaled on the back of channels.
Yeah,
And I mean they all sell through,
yeah,
the
partners.
GSIs, right?
Yeah,
The cloud channel.
all of the GSI, right?
And you don't have that available to you. So what are you
We,
gonna do?
we don't have that, but also the GSI and then the whole that side of the platform. Um, it makes if you're dependent on that side for your go to market,
Right.
it makes it hard for you to build out a product that actually makes it available for clients to self-serve.
Right.
And our dream and my core belief is like, well, if we can for a certain segment of the market, can we like get this onboarding down to 1 day?
Right.
It's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
And there right now, like you can basically train models so well, and it can crunch a lot of data.
Yeah.
So the whole data migration and core configuration setup, a lot of that becomes available to you in a way that wasn't available before, which is why you had GSI. You needed basically product experts that could come and look at your business, understand, your core workflows and your core needs, and say, oh, okay, you're implementing X ERP. I understand it really well. Given what you need, we'll configure them as such and such and such.
Right.
But it's going to take us about 9 months
That's interesting.
because otherwise I need to sell a new project every week, right?
Yeah,
So I need to make payroll. So it's going to take 9 months to
So
do it.
one of the main issues that most of the system of records have, right, is that nobody wants to change from the old system of record unless there is a real compelling
Events.
event, right?
Yes.
Like a triggering event.
Yeah.
Give me a list of like your favorite compelling events that when you hear it, you're like, yeah, this is close. And I walk home with this one tonight.
Yeah. No. A good ones is when they start to scale globally.
Yeah.
Right? So you got a fantastic, company in the UK, and you need to expand into the US to sell more.
Right.
Suddenly you got multiple systems. You would want to consolidate them, not have a separate. You get a new CFO in place.
Yeah.
He or she wants to make her mark
Yeah.
on the business, on the tooling.
Yep.
Will typically be another one. Or you just reach a certain level of business maturity. You get to 2, 3, 400 employees, and you need to basically do more advanced reporting and analytics to your auditors and your board than you were available to before. And now you got that extra requirement on you, and now you need to switch for something that was easy and flexible for a single entity, but doesn't give you the
Yep.
sort of immutable reporting that you need for a serious business, right?
Interesting.
So then, typically as you grow in size,
Yeah.
you'll get a board. Auditors will start to be more strict and talk about more controls.
Yeah.
When you onboard a new vendor, do you have approvals in place? Do you have 4 eyes if you do any updates to the bank details? So we got, control of all the cash going out.
So is this, given that you're not a known brand yet,
Yes.
you must be outbounding into these trigger points.
Yeah.
How do you recognize them? Like, what are the signals that you get
Yep.
in the
So
water, if you would?
LinkedIn, new CFO in seats.
Boom.
Very easy. Yep.
You're calling.
That's great. Are they hiring in a new location?
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Interesting.
That's another one. And just like company size.
Yeah.
And then for venture companies, also funding announcements. Um,
How long does it take from like you call somebody in the finance department and you tell them like, look, man, there is a better way. I know life has
yeah,
sucked for you. There is a better way. Is this
yeah,
to them committing?
yeah. So for strict outbound, it can take 1 to 4 months.
Right.
I think the quickest was an inbound that I picked up on a Saturday, and we had to sign by Wednesday.
Jesus.
Yeah.
They were really desperate.
They really needed something fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you foresee that being your sales cycle in general? 4 6 months?
That will
Or
probably come down a little bit as we build up the brand
right.
and the recognition. So we're doing a lot of events. Maybe we should also get a podcast.
Well, you were in a podcast of a SaaS CFO,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yeah.
so that must be very effective.
Exactly. So that works.
Is there a community of CFOs? Do they get together? Is that
Yeah,
a
there's a
thing?
lot. There's a lot.
Okay.
There's a lot of different communities
Okay.
of CFOs. I think there's a couple at least in London.
Oh, interesting.
A lot across the US,
Yeah.
different flavors of it. A lot for like tech CFOs who needs to deal with ARR.
Mm.
Basically, if you're a CFO of a startup, venture-backed startup,
Boom, boom.
maybe you're trained in traditional accounting and finances, and then you find out like none of it fucking matters.
Right.
All that Manny cares about is his ARR figure. And, I can
Which is not even a real thing,
I can
right?
look it up. There's no strong guidelines. There's like wrong ways of doing it, but there's also different flavors of rights.
Right.
What do I do? Do I look at what I've invoiced? Do I look at cash? Do I look at what I
That is amazing.
contracted?
That is amazing. I can't believe people still get wrapped around. Well, is it ARR or is it CAR?
Yeah.
I'm like, they're both made up. They're both not like,
Yeah, it's just a metric.
it's just a metric.
It's just a
Exactly.
metric.
Yeah.
and
So
so
how would you, if you were to start a community, right? Like if you
yeah,
wanted to have a following, how would you cut it so you're not fighting with like the NetSuite, crowd that were like, I don't do
yeah,
the job unless there's NetSuite.
yeah. I think one of the things that like we start to see emerging a little bit is the need to like clearly articulate yourself, business processes,
Yeah,
how you do like basically write like documentation in Word as a function.
yeah,
That's one of the things that we see we're helping our customers with
yeah,
is basically how can you codify all of the things that you want to happen into words?
yeah.
And that I think is a new skill set that is actually coming out.
Interesting.
And I think that's gonna be
Like,
across a lot of
like,
different applications, not just finance, but having the ability to basically codify and write it down as policies for
yeah,
how do I get, how do I charge from my billing engine to
yeah,
how do I do my accountants to how do I prove new vendor updates.
yeah,
And that will be more needed. And
yeah,
I think, that area, I think with this new technology, there will also be like new skills that we need to embody, and there will be like tooling to make it easier. But
yeah,
but there is something here about okay, how can we actually like marry both the text and the numbers together?
yeah.
Um,
So one of the things that it occurred to me that I was gonna write a LinkedIn post on is that I feel like for new companies, their roles are collapsing.
yeah,
So for instance, you don't need, or maybe you do, but you can collapse product marketing, product, and product engineering,
yep,
right?
yep,
Like,
yep. I see
you
that.
can pick one that kind of codes
Yeah,
and do the other, or like one that doesn't code and help teach them how to code. You can start collapsing CFO and controller, maybe.
yep,
FP&A.
yep,
Like, they're not separate skills. Like,
yep,
everybody can think about the future and make some
yep.
hypotheses. So why can't it be the same person? Are you leaning into this movement of like the collapsing of the organization into like a smaller teams?
I think it's so we're definitely leading into the collapsing and smaller teams and also empowering our clients to scale without needing to hire. But I also think it's true that you probably will start to see some new type of roles to emerge that are a bit more cross-organizational. It
Interesting.
takes a bit more holistic view of like how do we actually want to do things in our
Right.
company and can start to like document and ensure that we have, a common red thread across
Yeah.
everything that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. You heard of the EU Data Act.
Yes, I did.
What so explain it to my audience as if we are all five, and
Yeah.
how is that gonna affect ARR?
So
I know it's a big one, and like I kind of barely understand it, so I wanted to like think
so,
to
actually, a thing we did was, even before we actually launched it, like the company, and started to commercialize it, we actually had like a symposium on AI,
yeah,
and we had the author of the EU Data Act, or AI Act, sorry.
the AI Act. No, I'm talking
The,
about the EU
yeah,
Data
now I'm in the Data Act,
the
sorry.
Data Act.
Um, so on I don't again, it's a metric. So I think we
They
will
all are.
we will be able to do what we want.
Yeah, yeah. So, but
Does it
is
really
it
mean
true
that
that you're not gonna be able to get out of long-term contracts? So you can't call it ARR anymore. Matter of fact, like I don't know why people are calling ARR because a lot of this ARR are month-to-month payments. There is nothing
yeah.
holding people accountable to stay, there for the year.
I mean, one of the things with metrics is to basically look at it and see, like, how reliable is it?
Yeah, yeah,
And if you have a large enough sample size, and the sample size doesn't need to be that large
yeah,
for you to understand, month on month, is what I'm measuring,
yeah,
is that like a good
yeah,
sort of measurement of future expected cash?
yeah,
Which is, like, ultimately what I think we're trying to, like, get at with this whole AR thing.
100%.
Is it a good projection of the cash coming in 12 months' time?
But will you see an exodus of people out of long-term contracts now that they're illegal? Is my question. And
No,
without
I don't
video.
no, I don't think so, but, I mean, I've seen the news,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
that's I gotta be honest, a little bit hard to wrap my brain around, that actually being the case.
Be the case. So people are just gonna see it, they're just gonna move on with their day and like not do anything about it.
I mean, especially like long-term contracts is usually also enterprise
Yeah.
software.
Yeah.
And again, uh, they're not very enjoyable to switch. Like
That's what I was thinking. They usually have other things in it, right? Like,
they usually have other things in it, and all of our long-term contracts is partners,
interesting.
and we love to work with them.
Right, 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 right.
And we give them feedback if things need to be better, etc. But like, I don't wake up in the morning, wanting to churn a bunch of partners, because that's have impact on my business. Like, now we're partnering for a reason.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so and I think that makes a lot of sense because at the end of the day, it's work, right? Like if you decide to churn, like now you are putting a bunch of work onto a
Well, what are you gonna do now?
right,
Like, unless they gave you zero value, but that's
right.
that's
Otherwise,
a separate problem. Like,
100%,
100%, you should not pay for something you're not using.
100%.
Um, but hopefully, the vast majority of the contracts you have in place are actually beneficial for you. Like, they
Right,
give you value.
right,
They solve a problem.
right,
They help in your product. They help in your processes. They help your people.
right.
And
As it should be, right?
yes, it should be. Yeah, and it's a partnership.
Right.
Um,
So what's next for you? Like you raise a seed,
yeah,
you build what you could with
yeah.
what you had.
We're building.
It turns out it's not 10 years.
It's not 10 years. No, we're happy to serve some of the fastest growing companies on the world. So
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah.
And we're now expanding. We have an office here in London. We're setting up one in New York.
Nice.
Looking for great salespeople, engineers, designers, marketeers
Yeah.
who wants to join our office. Um,
Building ERP. Sorry.
build-
The smart financial system.
Sorry, well, that's just not more.
It's not financial. That's right. That's right.
But trying to come and help us build the future of basically what we try to describe as like organic software.
Yeah. Yeah,
Basi
it's about that.
Yes, basically product that looks at
Sounds
your
like
behavior.
granola. So tell me more about
Yes,
this.
okay, but I'll try. Like, but imagine what I think is one of the things that sucks the most about enterprise software is that there is some ability to customize it,
Yeah.
but it is super hard for your power user to actually do that. And so typically they will rely on consultants for that.
Yeah.
That in legacy ERP is basically because the only way to customize it is to write like scripts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your power user, the controller, the VP finance, AP clerk, AR clerk, are not trained to write scripts.
Yeah.
Now you have a completely new technology that makes it possible for them to express themselves in words, and those words being converted into binary code.
Interesting.
And one of the ways that we do that in Light is that you can upload policies.
Yeah.
You upload policies that uses it to classify transactions. It can be a fixed asset policy, and then
Yeah.
every time you have a bill, it says, "Oh, this is a laptop that needs to get amortized over 3 years. Here you go, done."
Interesting.
Right? So that's already done
So
for
it's
you.
like ERP is having its lovable moment, if you would. So now you can just
Yes.
like vibe code your way into
Yeah, but also
different
all of those friction
parts.
points where, they were not high enough for them to warrant the gyro tickets to get the solution consultants to come and help them
Right.
on that project, because the project needs to be a minimum of 6 months. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to make payroll.
Right.
Right? So it needs to be like fairly high friction before you do that. But all of those like small friction points that just make it suck a little bit for you in finance,
Yeah.
but also, to be honest, make it suck a little bit for everybody else in the company, because now they need to do some sort of stupid thing
Right.
that doesn't benefit everybody, but the script is set up that way, or the system is configured that way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It could be that the CEO, he needs to approve everything above like $5,000, and then you grow and you end up like, oh man, that's like 50 invoices a week. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, please.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But imagine that it kind of looks at that data and suggests like, hey, I see that, we're sending out 50 invoices now. What about like raising it to like 8,000? Then he would only get 5. Click here to accept, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So start to actually suggest changes to the core configuration.
Oh, interesting.
So one of the things that we're trying to do with basic organic software is to build out a product that looks at your behavior. Like, how do you work as a company? How do you work as employees? And how do you work as, the core power users?
Yeah.
What is it you're trying to achieve? And then help you do that by updating the core configuration. One of the
By
things that
itself?
by itself, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So some of the configuration you'll have like humans in the loop to like approve,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think some of the lower level ones can just be completely autonomous.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, some of the like, and it's simple stuff.
Who else is doing this? Like, what
I
is
don't
your
think there's a
true
lot
north?
in the same way. So when we started out this way, right? Like, one of the things that became quite apparent was the true value of AI in the business context is that if it's active,
Yeah.
it is doing thing on your behalf.
Right.
And by active, I mean that it's doing things without you needing to prompt it to do it.
Right.
And then, but unfortunately, like right now, most of the design paradigms is stuck in this sort of passive context where
You prompt.
you need to go and you need to tell it to do something.
Yeah.
And then it shows you some sort of report or something, right?
Yeah.
And we have elements of that as well. But I think the true value is that it is active and is suggesting things on your behalf.
Interesting.
Like I give you like a classical example is, when you onboard, you need to upload your chart of accounts. And then people go like, here's a full chart of accounts. And then we ask them, do you need all of them to be active? And then they go like, yeah. All 200 accounts need to be active, right? Well, what imagine they can start to like look at your data and see, well, you got like 40 that haven't been used in the last 6 months.
Right.
Maybe we deactivate them. If we need them, we can activate them again, right?
Right.
But if you deactivate 40 accounts out of 200, like the total complexity of your data entry like goes down by, a tremendous amount.
Right.
And you have the same across like departments, project codes, all of these like, data labeling that we need to do.
Yeah. So that should happen automatically. That should be an engine that just goes.
It should
down
be
completely.
self-healing. It should be like self-cleaning, right? It's almost like back to the 90s, when your computer started to get super slow and you needed to go into settings and click like defrag. And would defrag your disk for you. And like, it's probably like a bunch of people who doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but it's basically like every 6 months you need to go and like, get it to clean up the hard drive because it was stuck.
Yeah. Interesting. So defragging your financial.
Basically, but you should do that by itself, right?
That's
Because nobody goes and like, oh, I actually haven't used those like tax codes in 6 months. I should go and deactivate them. No,
Right.
but that's not interesting.
Interesting.
But if it does it for you, it starts to become leaner.
Right.
You'll have fewer choice options that you actually like. You'll start to only see the relevant choice options presented for you, right?
That's awesome. All right. I know you have to run at 5 o'clock. So
Super.
super to have you. Thank you so much for coming out. That was a great conversation. I learned so much about financial systems that I didn't know that I needed to know. But thanks again for being here and for what you're doing for all of us.
Thanks for having me, Manny.
Thank you.
Thank you.